All right, welcome back. We're back here with another podcast. This is Will, once again along here with Daryl, and this week we have, we say it every week, a fun one for you. I think this one was fun. Probably won't be as fun for all of you as it was for us to talk about and to experience, but it's one of those things that I think, we can talk about and everyone can at least gain some kind of knowledge from it. So, to get started. Um, Yesterday we ventured 2 hours away, an hour and a half, to a local gun shop, the largest in Pennsylvania. Their claim is pretty pretty high. Uh, to Grice's Gun Shop in Clearfield, Pennsylvania. And we had the start of what Daryl calls the Gauntlet, and it's been talked about and trying to find a day to do it. Everything lined up perfectly yesterday, and the gauntlet was the beginning. We got there as soon as they opened, and I'll let you take it from there to explain how we started because it started pretty fun and pretty well.
I tried to warn old Will, don't spend your money at the first shop we hit. But he found like the perfect gun, exactly what he was looking for a project. Bam, we're just in there going through the shelf, and he just kind of stops, right? He picks up his gun, he's like, "Whoa, I'm buying this right now." We were like an hour into a full day trip. And he found one heck of a shooter. I mean, I'd actually never seen one of these in the configuration he found before. It's called the Super Shadow Winchester Model 70. And I gotta tell you, it's one sweet little rifle you found there, man.
I'm gonna
You
go.
wanna tell them a little bit about what exactly it was that you pilfered from them?
All right. Well, I'm gonna go. I'll go grab it real quick. I should have had it ready.
I mean, I think you'd be doing them a disservice if you did not show this off. I mean, this is a cool gun. So I was just gonna go grab it. Just a little bit of what to expect here. It's a synthetic stock Model 70. They made a couple different shadows as I was looking into these. This one here is probably, in my opinion, the coolest of the bunch because of the design of the synthetic stock, and it's got these rubber grip insert panels. Very, very cool. Uh, there seems like there's a couple of specs above this particular rifle, but uh, my opinion, I think that's the coolest one of the shadows that we saw.
All right. This janky background isn't gonna do me any good.
No, I don't think it will.
Here we are. So last week, last week before that, talked about this, and it's a passion project. Um, Everyone has talked about who I've shooted with lately, or went shooting with, the 25 caliber, and how the 25 caliber is the one caliber everyone has to have a cartridge in. So, me being the fool or gullible or smart man, whatever we want to say it is. Um, I think that we should start from the beginning. It started that I said my first trip on the gauntlet had to be not memorable, but I had to keep an eye out for a couple things that I'd wanted. Um, First one, 6.5 by 55 Swede. I will say I saw some of them. Didn't pick one up. Next one was either a 357 mag or a 44 Magnum revolver. Saw some of them. Didn't catch my eye. And that's funny. If you had a video camera watching this entire trip, the three of us went on it. Started at Grice's, Well, it didn't. This didn't start at Grace's. This started at the next stop, the next stop, and so on. I don't know what it is. Um, I like firearms. Wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. But we'd go into first, not first stop, second stop, and then on. We'd go to the rifles. I'd look at the rifles. Oh, look at this. This is neat. Pick up, I don't know, 350 Bushmaster. We sold plenty of well, 350 Legend, 475, 70, whatever you want to talk about. We saw it all, except 257 Roberts, but that's another one. But I would look at the rifles. I'd go to the handguns and I'd kind of mull around a little bit. I probably said in everyone, I'm just not a handgun guy. They don't they don't appeal to me. I'm just a rifle. I like rifles, shotguns. That's just what I like. But this one right here, and I know I said it at least on the way up, was I would love to find a used Model 70 and 300 Winchester Short Magnum. I've said it on the way up. I know I've said it multiple times. Or finding a used Winchester XPR. And I said it plenty of time to this guy. He can either confirm that or whatever. But it's something that, I said I'm not going to find it. Any of the short Magnum I was looking for. Well, there it is. Oh, I'm not doing it justice. Back of here. There it is. As you can see, as he was talking about the stock, you'll see this rip here. It's back here. 300 Winchester short Magnum. It's a shooter. It's a real tack driver. Took it out today in 13-degree windy conditions. Shot 5 shots. That's all I wanted to shoot out of it, just to get a baseline to see where we were starting. Shot 165 grain Barnes Vortex TTSXs. It wasn't the prettiest video. I filmed it. I'll post it sometime later this week. Didn't have a cameraman. Didn't have nothing flashy. Ice. The entire range was ice. Tried to walk down there and put up a tripod. Couldn't do it. My phone would have been sliding down ice skating. But this rifle produced a group. You can probably see it right in
Yeah, it's
there.
a little blurry there. We'll try to get maybe a little closer. Back up a little bit. It's trying. Ah, yeah, right there. Right
Right
there. We
here,
can see it.
this area right here, you have 5 shots. Down here, this stuff right here, you scratch on this stuff and it comes off. See? Comes off on my hands. But measured out to 1.15 with the cheap caliper that I keep in my house. So all in all, it's gonna serve the purpose of that 25 Winchester super short Magnum. Um, Works great. It is clear. I know you heard the bolt. Hold the bolt back. It was clear. I'm not gonna shoot a hole through my roof or
Gonna,
shooting.
gonna, gonna see a bunch of ceiling tile dust come falling down on you.
All right, we'll set that aside.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too. Talking about this rifle and how much I like it. I'm actually looking at. I don't own a Model 70 because I got no purpose for a Model 70. I'm really looking at buying one of these now. They made a couple of them from what we could find in 325 WSM. Thinking about trying to find one. Uh, Will is bastardizing this rifle. We're pulling the barrel off of it. It's getting converted to 25 WSSM. Uh, yeah, I can't wait, man. I'm telling you. You'd be like, man, I wish I bought one of these sooner.
Yeah. The other thing with that, to go along with that, I did send you one yesterday. Pretty good price point, 270
You did.
WS. But I don't think
Now it's
you don't get your socks off to 270 WSM, do you?
now that said, you know me. I'm a custom barrel guy. If I can wring more accuracy out of something, I would buy that and put a 325 barrel on it. No problem. No questions asked. So I don't know, maybe. That's definitely not a bad price on that rifle.
Yeah, that was just the beginning at Grice's. Who knew how long we were going to be in there? Thank goodness for the Pennsylvania auto operation. It didn't
Not
hold up.
everyone, not everyone auto processes, but when you do, boy howdy.
You get charged for it. You get charged $4 for it. I was stunned. It's like auto process, $4 on the machine. I was like, wait a second, what? But that was just the beginning of the fun day. It only went up from there, I think. And that's weird to think. You you would think from there it'd be down, but it only went up. So guess it's up to you to talk about the rest of the excursion.
So Grice's was our first stop. We leave Grice's, we continue on down the line. We hit Belding and Mole next. Now, if you know anything about reloading history, you might have heard of Belding and Mole before. Belding and Mole, back in the early 1900s, they were one of the first major producers of reloading equipment. The Belding and Mole powder dispenser is still widely regarded as one of the best powder dispensers that was ever made. It's a very cool setup. Uh, and I mean, they made reloading dies, shotgun presses. Like you get on eBay, you can find a lot of this cool vintage Belding and Mole stuff. Well, we lost your camera feed there. Can you still hear me? Looks like we might have lost him. So, I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not because he's the one recording, but I'll continue here anyway. So, get the Belding and Mole. They don't really produce that stuff anymore. They make a couple of parts for the powder measures and things still like the drop tubes you can buy in there. A couple little things, but it's mostly just a gun shop now. Um, it's a nice little shop. It's very well, it's kind of like a rustic cabin inside. Pretty cool place to go and see and just experience part of that history. Saw some cool pieces in there. They almost got me. I almost don't want to say what's in there because what if one of you guys walk in there and go buy the thing out from under me? Because I'm still considering it, but they had an Astra M400 in there, which is a Spanish pistol, chambered for a cartridge called 9mm Largo, 9mm large. A little more powerful than 9x19. It's 9x23 are the dimensions. The cool thing with that is not a whole lot of them are out there that are still in 9x23 Largo. A lot of them were redone for 9x19 because obviously I can walk into any store in this country and buy a box of 9mm ammo, 9x19mm. You cannot find 9x23 Largo. Luckily, as a reloader, you can get brass. So, pretty cool. Uh, that was from Belding and Mole. The third stop, that was probably the coolest one. It's a shop called Hunter's Warehouse. It's a very small shop in the middle of Belfont. I've been wanting to go in there for a long time. I do this gauntlet every now and then where I hit all these gun shops and see what they got because I'm always looking for weird and cool stuff. Like, for example, Astra M400. The only way you're going to find that stuff at a decent price, because you're not going to buy stuff like that most of the time, at a good price on Gunbroker. You need to go hit local shops and pray somebody has dropped something weird and cool off, and the shop needs to try and unload it. I find some weird and cool stuff. But the shop does not open until 12 p.m. So usually I'm out of Grace's and at Belding and Moles very quickly, and I drive by this place and it's not open, so I don't stop. Because there were three of us on this trip this time looking around, and Will taking that little extra time to work out the deal for that rifle and do the paperwork, we got there as the place opened up. And we go inside, and what I mean, if I had to guess, the shop is maybe, I don't know, 12 foot wide. Like I'm no joke. Maybe only 12 foot wide. Might be 40 foot deep, maybe. Hey, there he is. He's back now.
Yep. So I had to technical difficulties. Had to make a pit stop.
See, I thought you killed over, died on the floor or something. I was gonna have to come and take that 300 from you.
You probably said that to the viewers. But no, it was you had a little bit of a pit stop. But
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're caught up to Hunter's Warehouse.
just as you came back, I was just talking about having finally managed to get there after a couple of years of trying to go in. So I was telling him the size of the shop. Would you agree? Well, it might have been like 12-foot wide, but like 40-foot long, right? It wasn't big.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, it was tight in there. When I'm telling this guy had more inventory than some of your bigger local gun shops. I'm not kidding you. And that was just the stuff you saw. The guy told us he's got a couple of warehouses full of milsurp firearms, all this stuff that he likes to deal in, and he occasionally pulls, he'll sell a couple items from the shop and he brings more in. He's got a couple storage buildings full of rifles, right? And I mean, wall to wall guns, milsurp,
The
just
hell is that?
double barrel shotguns. He had a couple of 760 game mask. This guy had some cool stuff. He almost got me too. Um, I was kind of willed by it, so wouldn't have to keep thinking about it. He had a 303 British Lee Enfield. I think it was a Mark IV. It's been sporterized tastefully, synthetic stock on it. The gun itself was in good shape. Even had a side mounted scope. The guy wanted 750 for the setup. Not a bad price for something like that, especially considering it was done tastefully. Gun wasn't cut up. But he had like 15 Krag Jorgensen rifles in there, including a Danish Krag, which I've never actually seen a Danish Krag in person. Um, as we were talking about, I said, "You ever see one of these Jorgensen rifles?" I'm like, "No, I never heard of a Jorgensen rifle. I saw it was before Krag's, they were working together." And I said, "Oh, you're talking about one of the what I've heard called as a Danish Krag." Yeah, yeah, that's it. And there it was. It was just cool. And I mean, it was literally wall to wall this stuff. Like, it's like 10 Mosins stacked on top of each other in various conditions, qualities, and shapes. Tons of 303 British rifles, a couple of Arisakas I didn't get a chance to ask about, 6.5 and 7.7. A guy had 6.5 by 55 Swiss rifles in there, not just Swede rifles, but he had 6.5 55 Swiss. I'm sure he had a couple of K rifles in there. I didn't get a chance to ask about. They'd been 7.5 Swiss. So I got to go back in there at some point because I got to get me one of those. Just, oh man, what a shop. That guy, like, if I hadn't just bought a truck, that guy would have, like, we joke. There's one of the shops we drive by. We joke that we might as well just throw our wallets out to them because of their prices. This guy genuinely would have ran off with my wallet, and I wouldn't have been disappointed because his prices were pretty damn good. Um, so yeah, of this whole trip, if you're interested in checking out any of these shops, and especially if you're into milsurp, odd, antique firearms, stuff like that, check out the Hunter's Warehouse right there in Belfont. I'll tell you, you won't be disappointed. Just good luck finding parking.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
And I think that for him, just he's going to take advantage of the second store that he's compiling with reloading components and knives and
Yeah, I can't wait until
I'm
he gets that opened up.
I'm
Well, it's
guilty.
opened, but I can't wait
Yeah,
until he like gets a bunch of inventory in there.
I'm guilty of this. I like uh knives almost as much as I like firearms. That's another addiction. So he has something for everyone. He had so many shotgun presses, and
He
I
had
like
an
them
old
too.
Ponson's Warren shotgun press in there. That was cool.
Yeah, he had different celebrities' handguns and Just so much different stuff. Like I think there was a German. It was either German or Japanese general's shotgun. Just so much different stuff that
Yeah,
8
that
millimeter German Mauser and you know
that celebrity's gun that he was talking about. So the guy got me, like, he really got me riled up at first, but it was still pretty cool. He says, I got a pistol in here that belonged to a very famous uh, World War II uh, soldier. And the guy went on to become a very famous actor and everything. I'm like, Audie Murphy. And the guy's like, oh, he says, yeah, Audie Murphy. But it wasn't Audie Murphy, it was John Hart. John Hart was one of the Lone Rangers. And like the guy had the full documentation with proof. It was John Hart's kit he had there. He had a knife, all kinds of stuff. Um,
yeah,
that was cool. That was
yeah,
seriously cool.
he also had like did you talk about rifles being featured on Forgotten Weapons?
Oh yeah, he has a special. Uh, it was a Mosin it was a contract Mosin that I have to watch the video yet. Ian McCullum did a video on this rifle because based on all the paperwork, they're pretty dang sure that this rifle actually belonged to Tsar Nicholas. It's like, wow. It was it was a Mosin, a 30-06 Mosin is what it was. So it was a Mosin that was contracted to be made here in the US during the Tsar's rule, and then he died, and a bunch of these rifles were used by the U.S. military, kind of off the record. A bunch of them got turned in and sporterized by a company here, and they were sold off. This one, I think he said, was actually one of the ones that the Tsar owned. If not, it was one of the contract rifles. It was not one of the sporterized ones. Uh, that was pretty dang cool.
Yeah. Um, they really had so much stuff in there. Well, he really had so much stuff in there, and I think, when you come across a great shop like that, behind the shop is a even greater person running it. He knows everything about his rifles. I was saying to Caleb, man, he could be a well, he is a salesman, kind of, but like he takes pride and he cares about what he's doing. Just the different ways that he looks at things, like transfers for um, guns that come in, or like even at like auctioneers, like at auctions, the person doing the transfer, the FFL doing that. A lot of people don't know this, but they kind of can set the price for how much a transfer is. That's why when you go to like an auction, you want to be careful about how much a transfer is because if you get a gun cheap and a transfer fees through the roof because they know people are gonna have to pay it, then you can see that cost add up. Not that there's people out there charging $300 transfer fees in Pennsylvania. That'd be absurd. But it's just not to that extreme, but it's just stuff like that. Like he went through all the stuff, that he does for his customers and how he cares for them. And like, he's just doing it just for fun. Basically, is what obviously for money, but he said it wasn't about the money. And, it's just stuff like that. You're interacting with genuine people. Um, he was my kind of guy. Um, he's not he wouldn't be everybody's cup of tea, just because he does not pull any punches. He's gonna say his mind, and I respect that. And he's just great about the way he does business. He's transparent, open, honest. We didn't buy nothing from him, unfortunately, but because he had other customers coming in doing transfers, but I think that experience was something that we enjoyed it as a whole, and I think he enjoyed it too because where he's at, I don't think he gets people in very often who take such a high interest in firearms. So it was just like Daryl was saying is really shocking. I said probably three different times to Daryl, to Caleb, and probably one more time, like he could benefit from just having a bigger place.
Oh
Like
yeah.
he's just in an area that is so underwhelming for what he has. Like you walk past it and you kind of, oh, the Hunter's Warehouse. It's probably like something that, it's they probably have a couple hunting jackets and orange vests and boxes of ammo and some FUD guns on, but no.
Now he had a couple of fun guns.
He did
Yeah,
have FUD guns.
as you like to say, the Amish assault rifles. Had a couple
Yeah,
of those, but
they're perfect. I love that gun.
now
But
and I will say his prices like were the one was a 270 760 Game Master. It was on the wall for $1,000. Like that's
yeah,
a 15 to $2,000 gun all day at auction. He's like, yeah, $1,000 if you want it.
yeah, yeah. And then the next stop after that would have been up the road to Pleasant Gap to what's it called?
Yes. The next stop, Noel's Gun Shop.
Yeah, gunsmithing.
Yes, because they haven't taken that off the sign probably for 20 years. So
Yes.
they don't actually do gunsmithing in there. If you're local and you're looking around for a gunsmith, I highly recommend you do not call Noel's Gun Shop and Gunsmithing and ask them about the gunsmithing because you're not going to have a pleasant phone experience, as Will can personally attest to.
Yeah, I was in that situation. I felt bad for calling. I was, I felt bad for,
Will Will was so dumbfounded by his experience that when we got there and he found a good deal on something he needed, he almost didn't want to buy it out of a matter of principle.
yeah, I was like, I didn't want to have another go around with someone in there. Not to badmouth them. You know, they have they have a lot of great reloading components. And I think, they are a victim of everything that the modern day gun shop is. They have profit margins aren't what people expect to be. They have to mark stuff up. They have overhead. Um, their health is another thing. I at the end of that experience, I was happy that I at least bought those reloading dies because just looking at not the situation because they're running a gun shop. They're probably pretty set. I mean, at least I hope they are. But just at that situation, like I was like, man, I just kind of felt bad. Like, at what point do you retire and enjoy life? Just because good people interacting with them had great experience in there. Had no bad experiences. Did not talk about gunsmithing. That could be why. But we like I said, it just I was happy that I did that, made that small $30 purchase for reloading dies. It wasn't much, but you know,
It,
they sold something that day.
that's one of the big things. Their prices on their reloading stuff typically isn't that good. You can find stuff cheaper. However, you're not going to find the, and they have a fairly small shop too. You're not going to find the variety that you can find in there. Grice's, for example, has a massive wall of reloading stuff, brass, bullets, powders. But when you go into Noel's Gun Shop, they got a pile of Vita powders in there. One of the only shops that I know in locally you can still walk into and get Vita powders, which are phenomenal, phenomenal powders. Um, they have obscure brass. A lot of times you go in there like 6BR, 6 Dasher, XC, that type of stuff. You can find the brass in there. Some of that stuff, if they don't have it, they're capable of ordering at a pretty reasonable price on that kind of stuff. Uh, I needed 6 Dasher brass for a custom project I was working on. They had it, and I walked in there just kind of looking, and there it was. I didn't even call ahead to see if they had it. I just walked in knowing I was probably going to find it, and I did. And like in Will's case, he needed 25 WSSM dies so he can reload for that 25 WSSM when he gets it put together. And consistently at every stop during this trip, we'd look, we wouldn't find them. So, yeah, don't worry, we'll find them at Knowles. We'll find them at Knowles. And sure enough, we found them at Knowles. They had a brand new RCBS set that was priced a little high, but there again, if you want to buy local, we stopped at 3 other shops at this point, including Grice's, and did not find 25 WSSM dies. So at least you can find them local. But they also had a use set in there, use set of Hornady. Needed a little bit of work. Will's got to clean them up. There's a burr on the seating stem of the seating die that needs cleaned up. A couple of easy tweaks, some cleanup. Them dies will be working great. He paid $30 for them. Done deal.
Yeah, I mean, I have, besides a barrel, didn't come today. We're getting it all set up. Have everything else I need to rebirth, revolutionize, resurrect the 25 Winchester Super Short Magnum.
Yeah.
So that should be a fun one. Yeah,
Now,
looking forward to it.
I could see in the comments too, some of you are probably going to be like, well, why the hell are you tearing apart that rifle? Because I mean, it is a nice gun. Here's the cool thing, it's a Model 70. With the Model 70, the barrel has to be cut for head spacing. If Will decides he wants to sell that gun or he doesn't like the 25 WSSM, all he has to do, because that barrel is already headspace to that action, he just needs to take the 25 WSSM barrel off, screw the 300 WSSM barrel back on, torque it to the appropriate spec, and just check it with a headspace engage. It should be ready to go. So it's not like he's permanently destroying the rifle. He's just making a semi-permanent modification.
Yeah, and like that's another thing. Like it's a stainless steel barrel. The action on this is blued. It's gonna look a little wonky. Probably might look a little bit wonky, but just with 25 WSSM, the case already looks wonky enough.
Six.
So
That's something I'm gonna have to disagree with you on. I know it's in here. There it is. Hold on.
here we
This
go.
an impromptu visual aid, because this wasn't one of my planned ones. My Savage Axis I talk about so much also happens to be in here right now. When I had this put together, so Savage Axes are all this, I wouldn't even necessarily call it blue, I'd call it Parkerized finish. Put a matte bead blast finish stainless steel barrel on it. And I don't know about all of you, I don't think it's a bad looking setup.
No, not at all.
My daughter's Axis I'm building, it's going to be in the 25 Creedmoor. I'm going to put a polished stainless barrel on that. Because I think with the Boyd stock that I have and the way I'm kitting it out, the stainless is going to look really nice. I'm even considering having the Action Cerakote. So it's because you can get a Cerakote that is not like a high mirror polish blue, obviously. You'll never get that. But it makes it look more blued than this, whatever the hell Savage calls this finish.
It also
Uh,
protects it. Their actions.
Yeah, and you can see on this one, like, I don't oil this gun. I don't like to keep my shit super oily. You can see there's a tiny spot where I didn't get it cleaned up good enough. Just a little bit of rust there through. Um, so it'll protect for that. I mean, I'm not worried about this. This is my woods hiking gun. Like, that one tiny spot I missed there, no big deal. This gun gets the absolute crap kicked out of it. That's why I went with stainless barrel to help that. And I mean, the barrel is just as nice today. I put it on there.
Yeah. So the next stop would be Miller's Gun Shop in Mill Hall. Would be considered Mill Hall.
Uh, Lamar, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you call it Lamar. Well, no. It's kind of still Belf. We're gonna call it Lamar. Uh, yeah, and Miller's with the typical Miller's experience.
They have a Mill Hall address.
Oh, okay. So it's on the border.
Yeah, it's
You
right there in Lamar. It's still on Nittany Valley Drive.
you
But
go you're at that cusp where you've got Amish and rednecks or just Amish right there on the border. Lamar to Mill Hall.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was your typical Miller's trip. Not knock that's that's not to knock them in any way. You know, Miller's, as a local, you know what to expect from
you
Miller's.
know what to expect. That's a good way of putting it. Now I will say they had a couple of neat things in there on like their discount table where just random used stuff sometimes comes in they sell. Like they had a box of 3378 Weatherby Magnum in there. It's 15 live cartridges and 5 spent pieces of brass. So what happened there is somebody bought the 3378, shot 5 rounds out of it, and decided I don't think I need this much gun. Got rid of it. Um, uh, Two cool pieces in there, and one as basic as these are, and as plentiful as they are, I always rep them when I see them. So we also saw one in Bellingham Mall, but Miller's, in my opinion, had the nicer one. High standard 22 target pistol. Uh, Miller's, I think, was the HB model. I love those pistols. Man, I do not shoot a lot of 22, but of the 22 I have shot, they are just fun pistols. I mean, for God's sakes, they used to use them in the Olympics. Like, these are really high quality pistols for what they are. The only problem is replacement parts aren't exactly easy to get. There are guys that make replacement parts for the guns. Um, they charge a premium because there are guys that still shoot these in competition. Obviously, if you're breaking parts, you're going to be able to make some money off of those guys that are doing that. So, premium. But in my opinion, they're so worth owning. And like the one at Miller's, I think they were asking $350 for it. That's not bad at all. The other one, a gun I have only personally seen two of in my whole life, and one of the two is sitting in Miller's. Another high standard Crusader. So this was they made these, 44 mag was getting popular. Smith and Wesson's got a 44 mag out. Colt comes out with the Anaconda. Uh, you start seeing these 44 mag revolvers coming out. So High Standard was coming up on an anniversary year, and the top brass decided we want to make a large frame revolver. They'd never done one before. It's going to be our anniversary gun. We're going to make them in two calibers: 45 Colt, 44 Magnum. They're going to be limited run. They're going to be, I mean, beautiful guns. They were beautiful guns. Problem with them was they were kind of rushed, so the internals aren't the best. So parts are known to break in them. Um, Guys that bought them and shot them probably very disappointed they had done so. They do shoot extremely accurately, so that go. They are so freaking cool. Dave, where the cylinder latch comes into the bottom of the frame, the bottom of the barrel. It's a half lug barrel like a Smith and Wesson Model 29, for example. There's a little hole there so you can see the end of the cylinder latch, and just a very beautifully designed piece. They've got a golden night jousting on it on the side of the frame. Uh, One of only two I've ever seen, and in my opinion, the price on it's not bad at all. They want $1,500 for it. Typically, when you see these guns sold on like Gunbroker, they sold 45 Colts, they sold 44 mags, and then they sold matching consecutive paired serial numbers, 45 Colt and 44 mag. And that's usually how you find them sold, and they go for $6,000 to $8,000 when you find them like that. So finding one of them in $1,500, not bad. That's been in there for a while, so if one of you guys don't snatch it up, maybe my dumb rear end will finally go and buy it, and I'll break it shooting it because I don't want I don't buy a gun to let it sit. So
That's funny. Um, but yeah, I mean, they have, I'd say the closest within a 30-minute drive, they probably have the best reloading selection. I count Muncie outside 30 minutes. But
who's that has the best reloading selection?
Miller's has a lot of odds and ends.
Yeah, I think locally you're probably right.
Hold on one moment.
Thinking of the other local shops, so he's saying Muncie is within a 30-minute drive. So in that same ballpark, heading towards Muncie, so you're in stay south of Williamsport technically. Troxel Sporting Goods. They got a pretty good reloading selection too. They're a Reading distributor, so most of the dies they sell are Reading dies. They're very costly. In my opinion, their price on the dies aren't good. You can buy Reading online cheaper than you can through Troxels, but the reloading selection there is very good. There's times I need a very specific powder, um, and I could probably get it. Well, I know I can get it at Knowles, a little further drive, but I can call Troxels and ask them if they have it. A lot of times they'll have what I'm looking for because I shoot a lot of IMR, Hodgdon, Winchester powders, primarily are what I use. Uh, some Western powders, well, they're under the Hodgdon umbrella now, but like Ram Shot, a lot accurate powders. I can call Troxels. Usually they'll have them. The prices are pretty dang good on that stuff. Bullet wise, they got a great bullet selection as well. So that's another one within like a 30-minute drive of my house that I go, that would be worth taking a step to for reloading supplies. Uh, Other than that, yeah, Miller's, I've always kind of been disappointed with their selection. But when you're looking at just the local shops, yeah, I got to agree with Will on this, especially powder. They usually have got a fair stock of powder in there. Brass, that's a different story. They don't have a whole lot of brass selection. Primers, everyone's in the same boat with those right now. You can find them cheaper places. Locally, you can get large rifle primers at Nationals pretty reasonably. Uh, Whereas you go up to Miller's, you get the drive, and you're actually paying a little more for them. So some of that stuff, I don't know. Powders, still paying more. They do have a good selection. Like they actually have Blackhorn 209 in there, and that would shock me because nobody freaking stocks that stuff anymore, and the price on it wasn't something that that blew my mind. Blackhorn 209 since Hodgson acquired Western Powders has went up exponentially in cost, and the keg size went down. It went from a pound to 12 ounces. Um, Miller's is competitively priced on it. So, I mean, there's that. Mm. I used to shoot a ton of that in my Sharps. Mix of, my 5090 here. Shoot a mix of black powder and Blackhorn. And buy Blackhorn because it's $90 usually for that 12 ounces. I get a pound of black powder for $40, which that was outrageous. You used to be able to buy black powder for like $20 a pound. Uh, but with with the cost of Blackhorn now, I just buy Go X from uh oh, I'm going to think here. What's that? Northeast Trading Company. There it is, Northeast Trading Company. One of the only guys I know of in the area that still deals in true black powder. That guy, when it comes to muzzle loading firearms, traditional muzzle loader, like patched ball stuff, that guy is like the world, not kidding, the world expert. If you get on websites like Track the Wolf, where they sell parts for some of these more obscure muzzleloader kits that like they don't even make some of these anymore, like some of the older Lyman stuff. They still sell parts for them. The old guy at Northeast Trading Company is machining them in the back of his shop and selling them. He is solely supplying half of the stuff that keeps these muzzleloader guys going. And when he kicks the can, the reenactors, the real old school flintlock and percussion cap muzzleloader guys, the matchlock muzzleloader guys, they are going to be sorely hurting because that guy makes the majority of the crap that they're buying. Just It's crazy when you think about it. When you go into the guy's shop, you're like, man, this he's got a heck of a selection when it comes to that stuff. You walk in thinking, this is the guy that's making all these parts that everyone's stocking online. What the hell? Wasn't expecting this. I was thinking of some big production facility like Hornaday or something. No, no, no. It's a tiny little shop down. He's down by the mall. So it's one of the most baffling things about Pennsylvania. There's stories like that all like you wouldn't you're looking at this company and you're like, I wouldn't expect them to be in some little tiny podunk in Pennsylvania being like the majority shareholder of whatever this is. And well, sure enough, when it comes to the outdoors, conservationism, sporting goods, Pennsylvania's surprisingly potent little state. It's for sure. Definitely one of the reasons to be proud to be Pennsylvanian. Maybe maybe he actually did die this time. Maybe I'm getting that 300 WSM. I better drive over to his house because we're seeing this first, right? His family might not know anything's happened to him. I can get over there. Go, hey, I'm just here to see Will. Grab the gun, sneak out the back door. I know he's got ammo for it. It's got the barrel I want to put on. I'm upset. I just got to go figure out where it all is quick. Man, he's missing all these good stories too. Of course, with the way I ramble on, who knows? I probably have told this stuff 6 times now. Will's like, that's why he's leaving. It's not a technical difficulty. It's I've heard this shit before. I'm not listening to that old geezer. He got the dementia, is just repeating his stories now. That's probably what's going on over there. I might have to come up. I might have to come up with another story here to tell or something. He might be a while. What can I tell without continuing on down the line of our trip? Got to think if there was anything else at Miller's that was worth mentioning. Their Thompson Center Encore selection. They have a pile of Thompson Center Encores in there, and the prices actually aren't bad. Anywhere between $1,200 and $1,400, depending on what frame, stock, barrel setup you get. because there's several pre-assembled in there in various conditions, various barrels on them. Not a bad price. Frames for Thompson Center Encores are still through the roof. Uh, Thompson Center is coming back, thank God. The Encore frames should be in production again. And I will hopefully be able to buy frames for less than $1,000 a piece. But for now, you got to get what you can get. And they're really cool. If you've never seen a Thompson Center Encore, I actually have one of those over here. So this is just one of my configurations for this rifle. The Thompson Center Encore and its contender little brother. I like the Encore because it's the big boy and you can get big boy cartridges in it. Uh, the Thompson Center Encore is a single shot rifle. You just squeeze the trigger guard here, opens right up. And the great claim to fame for these rifles is one, they're actually extremely accurate. It'll blow your mind what one of these things can do. Two, the other claim to fame is the capability of swapping the barrels very, very easily. All you do on this particular handguard, some of them have two screws. This one's got one. You take one screw out, pop this handguard off, and there is a pin right here under this frame. You punch this pin out, open the barrel up, and the barrel comes off. You drop another barrel on, close it up, and you're ready to rock and roll. It's that easy to swap these out. Literally a 2-minute job. I've got 4 barrels. The one you see here is this is my custom. Yes, so this is my custom 25 caliber barrel. Still have to get out and test. It's not a scope on this barrel yet, so I haven't tested this. Custom 25 caliber barrel. I have a 243 barrel that matches this one identically. Same taper, same weight, same length, everything, because I want to compare the two fairly, because I believe I have a cartridge that will beat the 243 and is substantially shorter. So I've also got the 243 barrel, and these are Bullberry barrels, custom made barrels for these rifles, highly regarded as the best in the world. I have a 375 H&H Magnum barrel. That is a actual Thompson Center barrel. That's the one that came with this frame. And I've got a 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum Katahdin barrel. That is an iron sight setup. They made some of these Encores called the Katahdins. They were in 4570, 460 Smith & Wesson Magnum, 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. They were set up with iron sights. It was a peep rear, fiber optic front pin, and a fluted barrel to help cut the weight down. I think they're 18-inch, maybe 20-inch barrels. A 20-inch barrel on an Encore is really short because you don't have any chamber length. So, a 20-inch barrel, short as heck. I actually think, if I remember right, these are 24. And the 460 is so much fun to shoot in this. Go from 460 to 454 Casull, 45 Colt, 45 Schofield. They'll all fit and shoot out of that one barrel. Got a set of Skinner sights on it. Skinner is a small sight manufacturer. He is the manufacturer of the sights that they are now putting on the Sinks was a little twisted there. They're now putting on the Ruger manufactured Marlin Trapper rifles. So really cool setup. And on my Encore, I was able to get one that works really well with that 460 barrel. Shoots, you don't think something like a 460 would shoot well. That thing shoots amazing. You can see I've got they make a whole bunch of different stocks. This is my favorite. This is the Flex Tech stock, they call it. As Caleb noted on our trip, we saw one with this stock at Miller's. Looks like a Wi-Fi symbol. That is a recoil reduction system that works really well. Like even my 375 H&H, it's producing over 50 pounds of recoil in a single shot rifle. Makes it very comfortable. Bullberry barrels, you have to have a custom milled uh, fore-end to fit these barrels properly. So this is their fore-end, which is just a standard Encore synthetic fore-end that's milled out. The FlexTech fore-end won't work with that. I have the FlexTech fore-end to go with the regular FlexTech stock too. So real nice, comfortable, grippy setup. Easy to point, easy to shoot. Fun guns. So Miller's got a pile of them in there, a couple of contenders as well. If you're interested in something like that, man, you can't beat it. There's no other gun in the world where you can go from a 375 H&H mag to a 6-dasher to a 4570 to a 243 in 2 minutes. And since the scope's mounted to the barrels, you literally pop the barrel on and everything stays zero. Super cool setup. If I had to pick one, they got one in 25-06 in there. Might be something to consider, guys. Going to this thing back over here where it belongs. Thompson Center makes some cool guns. So this past year, I got into muzzle loading, inline muzzle loading. I do not hunt flintlock. That just doesn't jolly my Rogers. So there's one particular muzzle loader. Yep, I'm a weird guy. I like some weird stuff. One particular muzzle loader I was after. One that they don't make anymore, and they can't make anymore because all the tooling was lost in a factory fire at Thompson Center. So it's kind of hard to get replacement parts. Luckily, they're not really known for breaking. The only thing it needs replaced are the nipples. Those, bunch of people make those yet. This is called the Thompson Center Scout. I don't know if you can really see this too well here. It's this real cool looking shaped receiver. A straight style stock. I love a straight style stock over the typical what we call a shotgun comb. This is a straight military stock, what we would call that. Uh, Very nice blue job on this. Not the best blue job I've ever seen, but that's not a bad looking gun. Um, Got to get a new camping rod. This one's got a big chunk out of it. Happens. They're all cheap, made of wood. They make them out of aluminum and stuff. They're uh, much more durable. But for now, this one still works. It's not exactly broken. Iron sights. They made these. You can get a scope mount on them. I like the buckhorns. Just a fun little gun. The biggest gripe I have with these damn things is the muzzle loader. So when you load it, you have to shoot it. And because I'm not using Blackhorn 209 because it's $2 million a pound, after you shoot it, you have to clean it. That's that's unfortunate. Cleaning these is not a very hard job. It's just a long and tedious job. This is instead of a 209 shot shell primer like most modern inlines use, this is an older one. These were produced in the very late 1980s into the early 1990s. So these take a percussion cap. Got a nipple you got to take out of here. So you got to tear this whole thing apart. This is just a cover. This cool shaped block here is just a cover for the receiver. Got to take it all apart, screw the nipple out, and clean the damn thing. You got to scrub the nipple out. You got to make sure the barrel's all clean. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. But I tell you what, other than hunting squirrels, well, hunting pheasants and dove, of course, too. But I've never hunted deer in a t-shirt before. That was pretty fun. T-shirt, orange vest and hat on, and I'm sitting out there waiting for one to come by. Did see one, good sized doe. I didn't get to shoot her. She was moving faster than I was comfortable trying to take a crack shot, and found out there was a bear following her. So I got to get some candid photos with a bear. Came within 25 yards of me, just doing his thing. He knew I couldn't do a damn thing to him, so he's just, oh hey, what's up, buddy? Scared your deer off. That was cool. Got some great pictures. Uh, yeah, the coolest thing about this, to make these in a couple configurations, to make one that's wood with like a brass trigger guard. I really wanted one of those, but this one came up locally. Well, kind of locally. It was a 2 hour drive. Uh, One of the groups I'm in, for Thompson Center Guns, guy's like, yeah, man, I got one of those. They'll sell to you for $300 with all the extra nipples I got, and extra balls and percussion caps. And I was like, sold. I'll be down tonight to pick it up. And I was. I drove down there that night and got it. Uh, the reason I settled is because you can go to Gunbroker and find 150 calibers, 45 calibers in the wood and brass. Very, very hard to find a 54 caliber. Like I said, I'm a weird guy. I got to have some weird stuff. So I wanted the 54 caliber, the big one. That's what I got. 54 caliber TC Scout. And I'm absolutely happy with it for a muzzleloader. Everything I could have asked for. Shoots very, very well. I'm using 325 grain power belts over 100 grains of using 777, powderized 777. Might even be Select that I bought. Shoots very well. 100 yards, dead deer. Easy, no problem. One of the coolest things with these, they make them in a pistol too. They make a TC scope. Nothing I'll ever get into. I, I muzzle loading with a rifle is one thing. Pistol's a whole other ball game. I hunt with handgun. I've got 44 mag, 357 Magnum. Got Paul Harrell's 444 Marlin BFR. Actually, I think I've got that in here too right now. Got my 357s in here because I got it in my hands. Yep, there's old BFR. Got my Packmeyer Dominator too. Oh look, he's back. He's alive.
I'm so sorry.
Dude, you better go look. That 300 WSM's gone. You're gone so long, it got in your back door and nabbed it.
My stomach is just killing me. I'm
Man,
sorry. This is a bad one. I'm sorry, guys. But
you know what it was?
what's that?
You didn't buy one of them Sheets apple fritters. You should have got an apple fritter yesterday. You'd be fine.
Oh yeah, I'm straightening out the old stomach.
So
I can see.
before we continue our story on the trip, I've always been telling some stories to bide some time here. I've brought out a couple of my handguns because I was talking about my Thompson Center Encore because I was still talking about Miller's how they had a bunch. And I got to my Thompson Center Scout muzzleloader, and then I talked about the Thompson Center Scout pistol because they make a muzzleloading pistol version of the rifle. Said I don't really muzzleload, so the pistol's nothing I'll get into, but I do hunt with pistols, so I grabbed a couple of them that I have in the room. My 357 Magnum's Ruger Security 6. In my
Beautiful.
opinion, this is the finest working man's 357 Magnum you can buy. It's not as heavy as a GP 100. It's the GP 100's little brother, right? This came, well, little brother, but it's his older brother. It's his dad. This came first. Uh, these things you can get extremely cheap on Gunbroker because they're all beat to hell because they were all police turn-in revolvers for the most part. This one, I mean, you can see here, like, the hammer's got a little bit of wear on it. You can see the turn ring, bluing wear. There's a little bit of bluing wear up here. But I have never handled one of these that did not shoot. The time I bought this is a 6 inch. Most of my revolvers I buy 6 inch barrels. 6.5 inch barrel, I think, is a perfect trade off between portability and having the power of the longer barrel. I think this is right on the money. I bought the 6 inch. A buddy of mine bought the 4 inch. Cool story with his 4 inch. It was a police turn in, but it was a private detective in Hawaii. So we jokingly say it was Magnum PI's gun. But he's got the paperwork on it. It was a pawn shop in Hawaii, Honolulu. Shipped it into him. Uh, he wanted the 4 inch. That one, the price was right, even with the shipping from Hawaii. So that's what he got. We take them both out. We both got them at the same time. We set a spinner target up at about 20 yards. I take the first shot. I pull up this thing. Bam! I bullseyed that sucker. He pulls up with his 4 inch. Boom! Bullseyes it. We trade guns. Bang! Bang! Bullseye! Bullseye. We're like, these things are boring. They're too damn accurate. Never have I seen one of these guns that could not shoot. No matter, I mean, his is in a really bad shape. The muzzle's bluing's all wore off. The grips were busted to get replacement grips. But the internals of the guns are just fantastic. One of my other hunting revolvers. This is probably the most prominent firearm in my collection. Uh, I own two of his guns. I'd say this one's the most prominent because it's the craziest damn gun he had. This was Paul Harrell's 444 Marlin BFR. It's actually how I first found Paul Harrell, was a video where he shot this gun. 444 Marlin. Huge, huge, huge round. Um, don't think I've got any of my ammo for this in here. Um, Basically a 45-70, but 44 caliber. Massive cartridge. I mean, you can see the cylinder on this thing. Like, there's my 5090 sharps. Like, the 5090 sharps will fit in the cylinder of this gun. And in fact, there's a cool guy. I don't know if he's passed away now. He was an older fellow. One Tough Gun on YouTube, Avi. Avi has a 5090 Sharps BFR. He had custom made. That was a cool gun. Uh, yeah, I do handgun hunt. I've got a couple of hunting handguns. Just muzzle loading in particular, I don't really care for. I make a concession because I got a cool ass muzzle loading rifle. Would not muzzle load pistol. Just something I would not personally get into. Unless Paul Harrell's Ruger Old Army ever turned up somewhere. I would buy that and I would happily hunt with that because that's a pretty damn cool gun. Now, final leg of our trip was Nationals. Got to end local. That's as local as we get, National Sporting Goods. And that was a typical Nationals experience. We go in there and Josiah tries to sell us a bunch of shit that we don't need, and he almost succeeds. What did you almost walk out of there with, Will? It was 22 Hornet, wasn't it?
Yes,
He was this damn close to buying a 22 Hornet that they had sitting in there.
I'll be honest with you. When we got to National, we were probably, I want to say, 10 feet from the door. And I was sprinting away from National because I knew that he was going to try to get me. No, the wind took my hat. I'm sprinting, almost ran out into traffic, thankfully. Jersey Shore at that time of the day is not very busy. Um, but yeah, he, I walked in and man, he's like, "Oh, dude." He, he tried to get me in the one way that he couldn't get me, asking me if I want thermal.
Tried to sell you a thermal scope. Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to meet that quota. He would have met that quota for their month in one sale.
Now I will say they did get me, so I'm in there joking with them, like, "Oh, Will said you were gonna get them," and I look over and I got a sign there. All reloading components and supplies 25% off. Like, "Oh, you bastards got me!" So got some bullets while I was in there. Got me some 22 ammo I was looking for, so they got me on that one.
Yeah. Was actually in there today. Um, Luckily for me, Josiah was not in there. I would have never made it up to the range to take care of all that. Walked in, knew exactly what I missed out on yesterday, had to get it, was 257 bullets, so 25 caliber. Picked up 100 of them, need them for some load development, and then had to walk over. The main reason I went there, 300 Winchester short magnum ammunition. Had to buy a box of it, bought a box of it, was looking at it, they only had two boxes in the entire store. One was the Hornady Precision Hunter. Was nope, don't need that. Don't need to pay the extra $10 for that one. So got the Barnes Vortex 165 grain TSSXs. If I TT, I don't know. I'm rambling right now. I'm sorry, but I almost I try. I thought, can I get those? Do I need them? Is that my? I'm talking with the one guy there. Don't know his name. There's a hat, glasses.
Hat and glasses.
Yeah, taller, stockier guy.
Yeah, I can't sound familiar.
Okay. Well, me and him are sitting there talking, and I think they're all knowledgeable. They're all great guys in there. I don't know. I think he's a manager. The guy yesterday
The
who
thinner guy?
yeah, it was Beard.
The guy that I bought my ammo from, or just one of the guys I was chit-chatting with?
One of the guys chit-chatting with. I think he
That's
said,
Wes. Yep.
okay, okay, yeah. So Wes goes, he's listening to our conversation. And I was like, I don't know if that's gonna stabilize those bullets. I said, he goes, what's the twist in it? I said, I think it's 1 in 10. It's a Model 7. He goes, yep, that's 1 in 10. You're good to go. So, okay, I'll take it for it.
Yep.
Don't know what's gonna happen. I did, like I said in that video, didn't bore sight the rifle because it's the used rifle. I'll trust the guy who had it before me. I'll trust the FUD who had it, who got rid of it because it has a synthetic stock on it. And boy, it was not only was it sighted in, man, you're yeah, I mean, it amazes me every time because when you get something when you shoot something that you're not sighted in for, you could really hit anywhere on that.
Yep.
But to be in that it just in the area, an inch to the left, high, I mean, who knows? We got a lot there, got a lot of stuff to learn from that. But really, I would say the Gauntlet was a very successful trip.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And something we definitely got to do again, man. It's like I was telling on one of your breaks. You just never know what the hell you're gonna find. Unless you want to scour Gunbroker looking for weird shit and overpay. You got to get out there, drive, and hit your local gun shops. In the Gauntlet, you're going to find the weird stuff. Something. And we found the honey hole of weird stuff. But on top of that, at every store we hit, we found something strange. Like that Model 70, I classify that as strange. I've never seen one in that configuration before. We get to Bellingham Mall, found that Astra M400 that I almost walked out of there with. Get down to Hunter's Warehouse, that whole shop was like, I could take a mortgage out, second mortgage on my home, and spend it all in there. Get down to Knowles, we found your Dyes, Millers, we found a pile of Thompson Center Encores, High Standard Crusader, Nationals. Didn't really find anything weird in there this time around.
I'll be honest with you. Savage and a 22 Hornet was very interesting to see.
Definitely an interesting thing to find. Yeah, I'll agree there.
Yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun. Didn't get Caleb on anything. I think he had fun with it. He didn't buy anything, but
Yeah, well, I had a chat with him when I was driving him home. I said, we'll get you into a gun. We'll get you into a rifle, I told him.
yeah, he's all for that. I think he's going to do some little hunting series on everything firearms, and
I think that would be a great, get him started out because he's never hunted before. And he's admitted he does not shoot rifles.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's why when we first started, right? We had, and the people know this. I'm not a handgun guy by any means. I'm a rifleman. Um, he's not a rifle guy, the handgun guy, and guess mix and match. I mean, we could take him out with a rifle, let him do some hunting, and if he can't hit shit, we'll just put a 44 Magnum revolver.
I got one of them too.
Yeah, and like I said, I knew it. I wanted to go on this gauntlet. I was happy that he was going just because of the experience, the environment. I don't know if you guys have met before that.
No, no.
I just knew though that you guys would gel. I knew it'd be a click there. I knew it would work. Um, just because like I don't know, it's kind of the same dynamic. Like he can pick your brain on handguns all day long, and like I'll pick your brain on rifles all day long, and it's just a little bit of a mix and match there, and he knows stuff about rifles. But I just think that just something that you have to be real like they're an acquired taste. They're like shotguns. I love shotguns, but my shotguns have to have wood. They can't have synthetic stocks, or they can't be home defense shotguns that are tactical. And same thing with rifles. They can't be an AR platform. I'm sorry, just not my thing, but people can have whatever they need to have to do what they want to do. But
See, I'm one of those guys where I I don't care for shotguns. Like there's guys that go, they got tons and tons of shotguns and like, oh, I'm always looking for them. There are five shotguns in this world that I want. I own two of them. Like from a usability and a collectible standpoint, these are the five shotguns I want. And I have two of them. I've got my Browning Auto 5. I've got my Browning BPS in a 10 gauge. So my Auto 5 is a 12 gauge. My BPS is a 10 gauge. Browning also made a semi-auto 10 gauge called the Light 10. Want a Light 10. There was a company called Greener that made single shot 12 gauge shotguns based on the Martini Henry action. I want to find a Greener shotgun. There's a ton of them out there. They're just mainly in England. They were designed as a poor man's shotgun, but still something classy because in England, hunting is a fashion show more than like we hunt for sustenance. They hunt pretty much purely for sport over there. The farmers might hunt for sustenance. Everyone else hunts for sport. It was a sporting man's, but a cheap sporting man's shotgun. I would like to have a Greener. The only other shotgun I have any desire of owning, they don't even bring like they don't import them over here. Russia makes a revolving cylinder shotgun called the MTS 255. It is a cool as hell shotgun. It is designed appropriately for a revolving shotgun to actually work. Like Rossi had the circuit judge in 410s, 45 410s. Pile of junk that thing is. But the MTS 255 is actually designed to be an appropriately working revolving shotgun. It's cool as hell. They do not import them. I probably will never be able to get one. Those are the five shotguns I want. Uh, Maybe if I could find one at a good price, I'd take one of the, I think they're called a Sjorgen. It's a Danish or Swedish, one of them people, shotgun called the inertial shotgun. Cool as hell semi-automatic shotgun. Very, 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 very expensive. I probably will never own one of those either. But that's it. That's all I want in shotguns. Like, you're like, what about home defense? What the Browning BPS 10 gauge is for? Come in my house. I'll show you what number four turkey shot can do when you got 2 ounces of it coming out of a 10 gauge. I don't need no buckshot.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, shotguns. Now, I don't want to say it's my dream shotgun, but I have a shotgun that I can do everything I need to do with it. My Remington 1100 12 gauge with a poly choke on it. It does everything I need it to do. Now, I want to say something that might offend a few people, but I guarantee you the people watching this do not have one of these shotguns. So, unless we have somebody in Europe who hunts for the sport of it to feel like they're uppity and they're just for show, man, most overrated. And I have a bigger beef with these than I do the 6.5 Creedmoor. The ugliest, most overrated firearm on the market is the fucking Benelli shotgun. The Benelli, they're so ugly. First of all, why am I dropping $4,000 on their U shotgun or their U field shotgun? If I'm putting $4,000 into a firearm, I'm not putting it into a shotgun. Are you kidding me? Who buys a $4,000 shotgun? Unless it has some kind of historical significance or it's something that like it's like a dream. Like let's say there was a 1300 or something from way back in the 16 gauge. Not that they're worth $4,000 or anything like that, but like somebody just always wanted it. I could see something like that. You have practical application with it. But is there people out there hunting with a Benelli $4,000 shotgun? You put a scratch on it and you just lost $3,000. Why are you making a $4,000 shotgun regularly and trying to sell it to people? Man, I'd love to see the gun shop who tried to get me on a Benelli shotgun that's $4,000. I'd give them the rant of a lifetime. Man. Getting off the shotguns, I do have a dream shotgun though. I know I waited probably about 3 years too late to try to get it. 'Cause, man, shotguns are through the roof too. They are way up there. Um, but I like the 16 gauge. I have a 12, I have a 20, and I have a 28. I don't have a 410. I have no need for a 410. Unless it's like a Browning over under. Now that'd be a nice little shotgun to have. But um, man, if I could get a Remington 1100 and 16 gauge, or even a Sweet 16, um, I know what you're gonna say. My FUD credentials are reinstated. At least it's not an 870 or double barrel. I mean, I almost bought a shotgun yesterday. I mean, this guy thought he could get me on buying an overpriced shotgun because it's a Stevens. Oh, buy this Stevens right here. God, he thought I was gonna overpay on a Stevens because of the name.
I tell you, I almost bought a shotgun too. I was talking to Caleb. I was looking at a couple of double barrels. I said, you got to check these double barrels. Because sometimes one of these pieces of shit double barrels is going to be a Russian Baikal, and nobody wants them. So they start at $1,000, and then the local gun shop trickles them down to five until they can sell them. And I will eventually be the lucky bastard to be in the shop on the day it's $500 before it's sold to someone else. And as I'm walking around, what do you know it? I find a double barrel Baikal shotgun. Now it wasn't a side by side like I'm looking for. It was an over and under 222, and I think it was a 20 gauge uh, upper barrel on it. So I didn't buy that, but kind of damn funny that as I'm probably 20 minutes prior telling them, you got to look for these Russian Baikals. I find a Russian Baikal.
I mean, that's another one. Like you get like the 222. I know they made it. I don't know how hard they are to find. You can find the 222 20 over unders pretty easily, but a 222 16 gauge, man, that would be. The 16 gauge is making the comeback, which is great. But to get it in the 222 and the 16, Stevens probably has one out there that I could find on Gunbroker. Pretty reasonable because those over unders like that, you can find them pretty reasonable if you find them on the right day, like you were saying. But man, what a what a trip. And they got to hear about it. They got to listen to some stories. They got to watch me go blackout while I took care of my intestinal insides, whatever. Just through a pen. It's been a bit of a rough day, but um, started out pretty good. Shooting a rifle, great group. Had a tire, get a leak, and then, but that's where we're at. Man, anything else on the gauntlet?
The Gauntlet? No, I think I mean obviously you missed a bunch. I covered
Yeah.
pretty thoroughly, I think, of the real important stuff. So
Didn't tangle with a battle axe.
yeah, I didn't. I knew
I
exactly what I was looking for, and they didn't have it. So got in and out of there pretty
uh,
quick.
I will say I want to touch on this. Man, picked up a nice 243 Remington 760 Game Master. This guy bashed the 243 a couple weeks ago. Once he shoots this, once I shoot it and he shoots it, I haven't shot it. I was going to shoot it today, too windy, whatever. But I saw one of them in Knowles Gunsmithing used. Not going to say the price of it. If you want to buy it, go ahead and go buy it. I had a, it was used. I have got one $1,000 less, practically. New. Pretty good about that.
Yeah, you know, that was the good thing because when we walked in and looked at the ones that Hunter's Warehouse had, you did not pay less than what he was offering for those. But then we got the nose, you're like, I didn't make out too bad after all.
Yeah, especially on that 243. That's just the one that is, they're not that hard. Well, they're hard to come by. You have the other ones like the 6mm, obviously, the 222, the 223, the 25-06. They only made that in 7600. You got the 280. They only made that for so long. They brought it back with a couple features with anniversaries. Man, what are we talking about? The corn cob, five diamond, the basket weave, the Tootsie Roll. I think all of them are kind of overrated. I don't like the corn cob. I think it looks kind of cheapy though. They're the first ones. The machining was probably the best then. A lot of people like the basket weave. I think it's overrated. Tootsie Roll, it's okay. Not a fan of it. You can all look this all up. The five diamond. I just don't like the diamonds on the forend. I just think it looks a little weird. The one that I have, the ones that I have are the pressed checkering. They're from like the 70s up to 82. Man, that's my favorite one. Has the high gloss on it. It's not a BDL, but hey, it's a fine rifle. This guy here's military surplus or Savage Axis tear down barrels, and he can get off on a tangent about you can do all this stuff. For me, it's the Amish assault rifle. I think most people in PA, I don't think they're quite as common as they used to be all over the place. A lot of the older guys have them. Um, I know a lot of people looking for them, and it's like, how the hell can you not find the 760 or the 7600 in Pennsylvania? They're all over the place. But man, I light right up talking about those rifles because I don't know, have I said this? What I'm about to say about them? They are in fact my favorite rifle. I don't know if I've said this. I should change everything firearms to everything 760 Game Master. Man, that might have to be my new alias on eBay. I changed my name on eBay as an alias because I was buying up stuff off of people, and this one guy got into an argument with because he didn't want to lower the price on it, and like we got like the make offer thing. So then he had something else. And I'm like, well, he's not going to cut me a deal. So I changed my name from whatever it was to Weatherby Man. And man, I am just getting all these kinds of deals. I don't even own a Weatherby. I'm not a Weatherby fan.
Oh my God. You aren't a Weatherby fan yet. Once I get you out to shoot my 257 Weatherby Magnum, telling you, man, I'm gonna convert you. I will make you see the light. No more
Yeah.
FUD cartridges.
Oh,
Well, the
well,
257 Roberts is still technically a FUD cartridge, so I'll allow that.
I find it funny. You say I can't have any of these FUD cartridges, but you have a lot of FUD cartridges.
Now slow down. I got a 12 gauge and a 30-06. I think still that classifies as fuddy duddy.
338 Win Mag is kind of like the FUD Magnum.
Okay, I'll give you that one too.
Actually, that's a little too far. The 300 would be the FUD Magnum, but
Yeah, I
this
don't
one,
got that. I got the 300 rum because I'm stupid.
this one right here,
Yeah, you got a 300 rum because you're stupid.
this is yeah. I got a 300 drum and a 300 wisdom. I currently have in my ownership right now 430 calibers. Potential. It's gonna that number has to stop at four.
It's gonna stop at 4 because we're swapping that. We're switching that 300 out to a 25.
Because I have another 300 on the way. That's a that's another.
Oh, is
That's
that's still number 4?
well, that'd be five. But this one swapping this out, it'll be
Okay, okay. 4, that's your limit. Once you
unless
get
I'm
5, I'm gonna start taking them.
you want to take these Bud cartridges. Which one are you taking? Are you going to take the 3030?
No, I'm taking that other WSM.
Okay.
I'm starting with the newest one, and then we work down.
Okay. That works. 300 Win Mag though.
I don't got no use for that. I can water my rum down to 300 Win Mag. I already got a 300 Win Mag. It's called a 300 rum.
Where did I see was it I saw a Psalm somewhere and I was like, "Oh my God."
I
Was
think
that
think it was Miller's. We saw the song.
and it was like reasonably priced.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't bad.
And I was like I kind of like gushed over. I was like, "A Psalm? Do I need this?" I mean, I'm stopping at the WSSM. Let me show you. I got another visual aid here to throw on. So that current, that 3 to 9, that's a fun little uh, scope. But if we want to have some fun, we want to turn this sorry, I almost said 6.5 Creedmoor. If we want to turn this 25W SSM into a real tack driver, we got to put this on it.
I can't even see what it is from here. A Burris.
You see,
Holy Moses, where'd you find that?
this right here is a Burris that goes from 6.5
Okay.
to 20. You're going to say, Will, why the hell would you put that on that WSSM? Should probably throw this on that. Well, I got that athlone on that. And man, it's going to be a great little setup. That should probably. No, I'm not going to throw this on that Ultra Mag. Got that Bushnell trophy on that. I got this right here. Need to find a use for that.
Been bad use for it. It's going to kind of make the gun a little hard to use in the deer woods, but anything else, you could want to shoot long range with, 25 WSSM will work 300 yards. No problem. No problem.
I mean, well, what's the first adventure for that 25W SSM? I mean, not it can't be deer, right? It can't be the first thing adventure it goes on. Does it have to? I mean, groundhogs,
I I'd say groundhog or coyote.
groundhog or coyote.
Groundhog or coyote. 75 grain VMAX. Probably going to go 34, 3,500 feet per second out of that thing.
I mean, this for a deer would be a little bit. I'd have to keep it on 6, or 6.5. I'm sorry. I'd have to keep it that low down. You can't get up to an 18 on that or 20 on that. Then I'm hitting. All I'm gonna see is all brown. It's gonna be so blurry. I'm gonna shoot and I'm gonna hit some. I'll hit. I won't hit the deer. I'll hit Bigfoot or something. It'll be weird.
Yeah.
But I really think that 25 WSSM in this little bad boy right
Well,
here.
well, well. Looky here. Oh, oh, I was way off, buddy. Hodgson's website,
You're
75 grain
38,
VMAX
39,
is
aren't
listed.
you?
Highest velocity listed with BLC2 is 3775. It's with 24-inch barrel.
Now, that's the thing. And I said this in this video that I just made for that 25W SSM. Well, for this one right here, as we get it ready for that, I said, so my opinion, the WSM calibers, cartridges, 270, you're getting seven, you're outperforming the 270. So you're getting like a 270 Magnum. That's really the first 270 Magnum. I'm assuming you have to really look into it. The 300, you're obviously getting 300 Win Mag performance within 50 to 100 yard. You can really either expand that with the 300 Win, or you can really get it closer. And then 325, 338. But when you go to the WSSMs, obviously they stopped making them not because they're bad cartridges, although what I'm going to say contradicts that statement. I think that when you look at them right, you have like the 223 WSSM. It didn't beat the Swift. Did not beat the Swift. There's no practical application for it. It just doesn't do anything. The 243 WSSM, I think we talked about this last time. Why are you trying to replicate the performance of a 243 if you're like why are you trying to replicate that performance? The 243 doesn't do anything spectacular. unless you put a 55 grain bullet in it, and then you're touching 3,900. You can, it's unbelievable what that can do. But I mean, for what the 243 WSSM does, like it's not doing anything like the WSMs do, where you're getting that performance on less powder and a shorter action. Like that's just groundbreaking. That's why they're still around. But like, if you look at that same principle and apply it to the WSSMs, why are you trying to save powder on a 243? There's no point. I said this on the range today. In the 25 WSSM, I really thought about it. Like, what are we trying to replicate here? Because I know it's not the 257 Roberts, because you're out gassing that thing. That old FUD cartridge, it's pointless. I shouldn't say I was looking for one of them, man. You're out powering from what the reloading data says in Hornady, you can outpower the 25-06. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, it's some loads will match up depending on how you're reloading. Some loads go either way, and some meet in the
Yeah.
middle. But that's your factor. Like that's where you're sitting. So you got this doing the same thing as this,
Okay.
right?
So I said on the video, like, we're trying to get Magnum level performance. So I was wrong. I'm gonna put this on the record here. I was like, are we trying to replicate 257 Weatherby? Because you're not doing it. But was that their intention? I said, I think maybe that might have been their intention. If that was their intention, I can't imagine it being they were shooting for the 25-06 because it wasn't back when they developed it in 2005. The 25-06 was practically dead. If it wasn't for the recent revolution from like Savage and Howa and all these other companies remaking it, like the 25-06 was dead in the water from a commercial standpoint. So like, I mean, honestly, like, what was their purpose? I have to do more research on it. Should have done more research before I spoke on the topic, but I think that you're looking to try to get to 257 Weatherby, and I know you don't do it, but are we getting close with it? Like, how close are we getting to 257 Weatherby there?
Not very. Uh, so
Okay.
yeah, I said you're looking like 3770 with that 75 grain VMAX. 257 Weatherby will launch that 75 grain VMAX over 4,000 feet per second. It's just, it's pure stupidity.
Why? I mean, he liked to go fast.
He liked to go fast.
I don't know if Weatherby ever sponsored a NASCAR. They should.
Yeah. Well, so that's the problem. NASCAR's all plate restricted now. They don't go fast enough. It'd be like NHRA, like a top fuel drag car or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, so really, before the 25-06 resurrection, um, you have like 25 WSSM. I personally think it would have took off if Winchester and Browning didn't lose the trademark that they violated with the makings of it. Now, who's to say what would have happened with it? A lot of those WSSMs have a feeding problem. Now, who's to say that this is going to have a feeding problem? One thing I noticed when I got home yesterday, looking at this Model 70, it has something different on it that I haven't seen on Model 70s prior. Now, I'm not up to date on the new Model 70s. I'll have to look up the serial number to see when this one was made. But this may help with the feeding issue. So, on this 70, sweet. Let's see if you see what I'm talking about. I thought I was about to take a ride back up to the old Grice's.
Yeah.
I'm paying a $15 stocking fee. But let's do this. See if that works. Okay. So let me pull this rifle around. So do you see what I'm talking about when you look at the bolt? I thought it was an issue.
Nope, it's all blurry.
All right. Hold on. Oh. Okay. So you see it now.
Yeah.
So you have the bolt back here,
Yep.
the plate right here. I've never seen that on a 70 before. If I pull this bolt, you'll probably be able to see it better. You see how this bolt has this metal thing right here.
Yeah.
I don't know the purpose of it. I don't know if it's going to help with the control with the feeding. I mean, it comes out to the extractor. It's part of the extractor claw. So, I mean, obviously, I'm assuming maybe that was the design to help with their feeding problem. But I thought that was interesting because what I thought it was like when I saw it like that, I thought it. I'm gonna be stupid for saying this, but I thought it was the old trap door, like stuck like like this up here. I was like, oh no, how did that happen? But it wasn't. So that was good. I didn't have to take care of some business with some guy who was sitting in the back seat with that rifle.
Yeah.
Probably messing around with it. But yeah, like I said, I think that all in all was a pretty good little trip. I don't know the purpose of that. I don't know what they were trying to achieve with the 25 WSSM. They're probably looking at that range and like, oh, maybe they need to make the 264 WSM. It's probably a thing. I don't think so, though, is it?
I don't know if they made a 6.5 WSM or not. Somebody wildcatted it, I'm sure of that, if they didn't factory
Of
chamber.
course they did, right? I know they definitely did because that 6.5 Coyote or whatever it is. I think it's the 6.5 Coyote was a 6.5 based off the WSM case.
It's possible.
Hmm. They do a lot of stuff. I can't keep up with all of it. They say you can get the Sammy spec book where it has all the different things. It's probably so thick and it's
You're better off, you can look at it online. You're better
yeah.
off doing it that way because you want to have a book 10 feet tall sitting next to you.
You probably have one of them books.
I've got I've got the printout. Like, well, I don't have it printed, but I've got the PDF saved.
Of course,
Every year I resave it. Get the updated Sammy PDF.
it's probably 50,000
It's
pages.
huge. It's massive. And every year they add new shit to it, so it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
that's just Sammy. There's also the CIP booklet, which is European. There's shit in there that's not in the Sammy book.
Yeah, that's insane. But well, anything else to talk about?
I had one thing, my visual aids that I broke out. I just thought this would be an interesting thing to discuss because we talked about it in the last podcast. We were talking about the 375 H&H mag. We were talking about belted magnums, and we were talking about head spacing of belted magnums. So I want to show you something. I broke out. I always talk about I've got all this weird shit. So I had to bring some of them out to prove I actually have this weird shit. So here's our 375 H&H mag. Right. Let me get this banner off here so I can see a little better. Make sure I got everything in frame. You got our 375 H&H Magnum. You can see there is next to no shoulder on this thing, no neck. I mean, it's just as short as the tapers. You cannot headspace correctly off of this. It's impossible. Just will not work. That's why the belt's there. It's for headspacing purposes. Moving down the line, 375 gets neck down. We go with the 300 H&H Magnum. So you can see Same type of jobber going on here. Instead of it being a short shoulder, this has got a really long shoulder, but it's a very, very short taper. That's why it's so damn long. And you can see a substantial difference. Because of the way that shoulder is tapered, we cannot headspace properly off of the shoulder on this cartridge. We probably could, wouldn't be worth the damn hassle. Here's another interesting one. Another British cartridge. This is a 303 British. You'll notice, kind of see where some inspiration came from. The 303 versus the 375. It is the exact same damn thing. When you line up the base of these shoulders, the shoulders are the exact same length. Very shallow. So how do they headspace this? It's a rimmed cartridge, just like 3030. It headspaces using this rim. You don't have to headspace off of a rim. Rims have a couple of other benefits, like the way they feed and certain actions are better. In this particular case, that rim, just like a Magnum handgun straight wall cartridge, the rim is required for appropriate headspace. Go into our more modern cartridges. Here we have our 257 Roberts. Got a nice shoulder on it. No belt, no protruding rim. This is a modern cartridge design. We can headspace off of the shoulder. Belted magnums that look the same. We have a 7mm Remington Magnum. Nice shoulder. These have a super short neck. It's just the way this brass is. But we got a belt. This belt is pretty much worthless on this cartridge because you can appropriately headspace off of this shoulder. The problem we run into is we're trying to sell magnums. And for the longest period of time, people associated these magnums with a belt. So when you see a magnum, well, it's got to have a belt or no one's going to believe us. So that's really the only functional purpose of a belt is to sell the damn cartridge. Now, 7mm Rem Mag, it's pretty popular. I'd be remiss if I didn't show you something weird. Got a 30 caliber belted Magnum here. Same thing. You can see it's got a nice tapered shoulder on it. We can headspace off of this. This is the 308 Norma Magnum. This is not 300 Winchester Magnum. As you can see, there's some similarities here. Same base diameter. Pretty similar overall cartridge length. A little longer on the 308. The 308 Norma Magnum is pretty much the 300 Winchester Magnum, just predates it by 3 years. The Norma Mag came out in 1960. The 300 Win Mag came out in 63. So, figured I'd break that out instead of 300 Win Mag because 300 Win Mag is a fuddy-duddy gun, and this is only a FUD gun if you live in Canada because this is still really popular up there. Not so much down here.
I'll be right back. I got a couple visual aids as well. We're gonna have some fun.
Okay, okay. Might have to go out to my garage to play who's got the better visual aids.
Yeah, you didn't wait too long, did you?
Oh no, not at all.
All right, so we're gonna have some fun with some visual aids. Perfect. This right here. You know what that is?
That looks like something that my grandpa used to shoot in the war.
That right there is the top of the top, the old 30-06.
Yeah,
And that's a visual aid right there. Not 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 on the weird level that you're at. This next one right here, boy, is a doozy. I'm getting you, aren't I? That's another doozy right there, the 243 Winchester. And now, as he shakes his head and he says, I just wasted his time. That's what he's thinking.
better be something good. I'll kill you.
So, um, this next one, it's good. It's like
Yeah.
really good. I found
If
it.
it's what I think it is, I swear to God, I'll sell your kidneys on the black market.
It's not the 3030. Is
Okay.
that what you thought it was going to
I
be?
tell you, yep, yep.
And the
Now,
idea?
the hell are we looking at there? Based on the length, 6 millimeter Remington? Oh, that's okay. Now I see the shoulder. That
Before
appears.
before before you say it, I'm gonna say these are based off the same case. One of these is a little different.
Uh-huh.
Same case there. One of them has a little bit of a different shoulder.
Yep.
You want to talk about head spacing off of a shoulder? Thank God they don't head space off of that shoulder. Well, I guess they
Yeah,
probably
they sure do.
they got you got enough there. You got a 40-degree shoulder. If anyone can tell me in the comments what that is, right here, I'll make a deal with you. If anyone in the comments can tell me what that is, you're gonna get a free rifle. The man to the right over there will buy you the rifle of your
Oh
choice.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Uh-huh.
That is not a contest. That
I'll
is not.
buy you a GI Joe action figure gun for like $1.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. But that right there is the 280 Ackley. There's no contest. Disclaimer: there is no contest. So there you go. But the 280 Ackley, we're getting into visual aids. That's another one. Man, that's another FUD gun. Like, I guess it's not a FUD gun. It's kind of a Colt gun. You have to be a reloader to really. Well, you don't have to be a reloader for it. I'll tell
They
you what.
standardized that sucker now. Yeah.
Speaking of fun guns that we saw, man, I upset you a little bit at Miller's. I said, "Oh, we got a 250 AI." You
Yeah.
came
I was like,
over,
oh.
and then all of a sudden, 22 250.
Yeah, I didn't hear the 22 part. I was like, this is a pile of dog crap. Just throw that in the trash. We don't need that one.
Yeah, yeah. Then there was another one. There was a Remington 783 or something like that, where I was like, "Look at this," and you're like, "Oh, that's a." I was like, "Look at this Savage," and you're like, "That's a Remington, buddy. Look at the tag." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know what I was looking at."
Oh, yep.
But there's the old 280 Ackley. That's a fun one. Really enjoy that one.
Oh man, he's only got the dies. I found a Model 70 barreled action, complete action, just needs a stock. 9.3 by 64 Bernanke with the dies. He doesn't have any brass. This close. I was this close. This close. Is this close, Will? This close.
Did you need one of these for it?
Yeah, I would have found one in 30-06. and I would have dropped right in.
Well, I'm sure you can find one in 30-06 pretty easily.
Man, that sucks. That guy had the brass. That'd be one of those. Oh, I'm a cruising gun broker by now.
What's he
Really?
want?
$1,250. $1,250. I'd have been like, yep, buy now, sold.
You
But
check.
no brass.
I'll tell you what. Um, what's the one gun that you think that I've probably said that I've wanted the most over the last 2 months?
Hmm. Good question.
I think there's two potential options, and they're in the same caliber.
Same caliber.
Different cartridges, same caliber.
Hmm. I don't know about the one, unless I'm way off base. I'm thinking the one of them's 218B.
It could be that. That's right up there. That's one of the three. I think there's two that kind of stick out. I was kind of set on one for a 760 Game Master. I
Uh,
talked about it a lot.
25 out of 6.
And then there's another one that I've set up. I think, and I don't think it's necessarily one that I've said like I want to have it. I think it's just one you talk to everyone, they're like, oh, I'd love to have it. The
Oh,
257 Roberts.
gotta be the Bobberts. Yep.
I think but you know what? The Roberts has to be the right one. You could get one built. Oh, but I just don't want to do that to the dis the disservice of like, man, putting that on a Savage.
Hey, custom barrel, man. $700. You could have one heck of a shooter. And show you a little something, something here. Oh, because I just so happen to have 257 Bobbert brass here. That's a 308 magazine. Just buy you could buy your favorite, man. You could buy a cheap used 6.5 Creedmoor Savage Axis and just change the barrel. It'll fit right in there.
So that leads me to one question before. You know what? That question's one for off camera because it pertains to a certain project.
Okay, okay.
So we are going to end this one right here.
To be continued.
To be continued. You can't be let in on all the spoilers. But as we continue, we'll see you next week. One thing we got to get back out to the range here soon. Get some content. Like I said, I got that 300 WSM project coming up. I know this man over here has some projects coming up, and we won't, or at least I won't run off as much as I have been today. That's a one-off thing. I'll make sure I have my stomach in check. But like I said, thank you for joining us tonight. You're gonna get two this week. You're gonna get the Magnum tomorrow because I didn't find time to post it last week. So you get Magnum tomorrow. You'll get this one later on in the week. It'll be great. 3 videos from everything firearms this week. How could you ask for something better? Paul Harrow coming back to life, that would be better. But in the end, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.